With the GOP establishment losing control, is now a perfect time for libertarians to take over the GOP and remake it in their image? Yeah, let's talk about that.
Instead of focusing on winning arguments, we're teaching the basic fundamentals of sales and marketing and how we can use them to win in the world of politics, teaching you how to meet people where they're at on the issues they care about. Welcome to The Brian Nichols Show.
Well, hey there, folks. Brian Nichols here on The Brian Nichols Show, and thank you for joining us on, of course, another fun-filled episode. I am, as always, your humble host, joining you live from our Cardio Miracle Studios here in lovely Eastern Indiana. Cardio Miracle. Yes, I've been using Cardio Miracle now for about 6 months. I use it once in the morning and once at night. Once in the morning, right before my morning workout, and once before I have dinner. And I got to tell you, folks, 6 months in, the Cardio Miracle difference, 1000% real. I'm going to vouch for it because I've been using Cardio Miracle and seeing the impacts and results for myself. Lower blood pressure, better lifts at the gym, better sleep at night, plus a slew of other amazing benefits. The secret ingredient, nitric oxide. So if you want to go ahead and join the tens of thousands of other folks like yours truly who is experiencing the Cardio Miracle difference for themselves, well, head down below in the show notes, link right there, or head to briannicholsshow.com/heart. That will bring you over to our friends at Cardio Miracle, and be sure to use code TBNS at checkout. 15% off your order. Plus, there's a 100% money back guarantee. So you quite literally have nothing to lose. So again, start your heart health journey today. Link in the show notes, cardiomiracle.com, the best heart health supplement in the world. All right, so as we kick things off today, first, a friendly reminder. Yes, we are powered by AMP America. Really excited to be a part of the AMP America family. And folks, please go ahead, support the other amazing folks over at AMP America, writing some awesome articles and also producing some phenomenal content over there. And for today's episode, we are digging into the meat and potatoes of an issue that has been very near and dear to my heart for a number of years. And I think that now is, in fact, the time. Now is the time for us in the liberty movement to officially and effectively take over the GOP. So let's talk about that. Because for 30 years, the Republican Party has been dominated by neoconservative foreign policy and, of course, the establishment wing of the party. And this has been the case from the 90s all the way until the mid-2010s, with endless wars and nation building that cost trillions of dollars and thousands of lives. There was little consideration from the GOP when it comes to civil liberties, fiscal restraint, or pragmatic non-interventionism. And that all changed in 2015 when Donald Trump stormed the scene and took over the GOP. He railed against the failures of the neocons. He started to go after their wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He condemned the trillions that were wasted in playing world police. Trump tapped into a populist sentiment that was already brewing under the surface of the GOP voter base. And his unorthodox style gave him the chance to blast through the stale Republican orthodoxy and ignite a new populist wave. Now, let's be real. The seeds of that populist wave were already planted way back in the early 2010s with the Tea Party movement. Think of the elections of Thomas Massie, Justin Amash, Rand Paul, and Mike Lee. They were demonstrating that there was, in fact, a budding libertarian presence within the GOP. Americans were tired of getting involved in other countries' affairs. They were tired of our out-of-control spending and, of course, limiting civil liberties with laws like the Patriot Act. And the Tea Party was holding the line against Obama's big government agenda and was planting the roots of a populist uprising within that GOP. And today, we are witnessing the establishment's last-ditch effort to try and maintain control of the GOP. Look at the disastrous launch of Nikki Haley's 2024 campaign, showing truly how out of touch they are with your average voter. Her attempt to go back to the neocon glory days absolutely fell flat in both Iowa and New Hampshire. Getting crushed this early, it's showing that the GOP base is soundly rejecting the establishment old guard. After these humiliating defeats, we may see the neocon establishment outright abandon the GOP in favor of what? The Democratic Party, or heck, maybe some independent third party. Their values no longer align with Republican voters, so they are in search of a new vessel. The America First agenda has transformed the GOP on issues like immigration, trade, and foreign policy. It's no longer a party that's open and hospitable to a neocon worldview. And guys, this is an incredible opportunity for the libertarians, especially those within the GOP. What was started with Ron Paul in 2008 and, of course, furthered by that Tea Party movement in 2010 can now be fulfilled. The populist momentum from the Trump years can allow us libertarians to take over the party in flux. Yes, despite Trump's big spending ways, let's be honest with ourselves. He fostered an environment that enabled more future Rand Pauls and more future Thomas Masseys to get elected. And the neocons' dissatisfaction with the new GOP clears the deck for an entire total libertarian takeover. As they abandon the party, this is creating a void that absolutely needs to be filled. So constitutional conservatives and libertarians can step up and fill that void to steer the GOP towards, yes, a more pro-libertarian direction. The establishment exodus could really shift the policy platform more towards a common sense approach to civil liberties, fiscal restraint, decentralization, and of course, non-interventionism. Now, some people will say that Trump's populist coalition was an absolute outlier and that things will inevitably go back to normal once he leaves the political arena. But the America First movement has brought in the working class voters, and they are here to stay. On economics, immigration, foreign policy, they see it. They see that libertarian solutions work better than what was being presented by the old guard. Pandering to woke sensibilities and foreign policy interventionism, yeah, that no longer motivates the base. Let's look at the facts, folks. There is a long list of complaints that have been really accumulating over the past 10, 15, 20 years within that greater GOP movement. Defense contracting waste, failures at the FBI and CIA, endless money printing that's led to insane inflation, bailouts for Wall Street banks and corporations. All the meanwhile, Main Street gets sold out. And for the past 30 years, heartland voters were taken for granted as neocons enriched their special interests within the GOP. So what did Trump do? Trump threw a grenade into this infrastructure and exposed the BS business as usual mentality in DC and in the GOP. He may not have governed like a card-carrying libertarian, but his presidency cleared a path for other libertarians to challenge the old guard. The Ron Paul revolution can be reborn through another wave of principled Tea Party conservative libertarians combined with the populist uprising here in the GOP. They can now sell why non-interventionism leads to less wars and more prosperity here at home. They can sell how decentralized governance helps local communities solve problems closer to home and much faster. They can sell the importance of civil liberties in an era with insane increased surveillance and government censorship. They can sell the practical steps to manage spending and waste. Unlike Trump and some of his firebrand populism, the new GOP libertarian movement needs a solid philosophical core. No, we're not just fighting against things, but rather we're standing on a coherent set of values that are rooted not just in libertarianism, but let's be real, American tradition. You know, things like life, liberty, property, true constitutional principles, not just some convenient window dressing to sell. Rhetoric needs a framework to induce lasting change. And as the neocons leave for their new partisan homes, the opportunity is now to provide that consistent framework underneath a GOP banner. Tea Party populists and yes, America First leaning working class voters just need to be sold that this new GOP offers them a means to live their lives as they see fit. Even during the Obama years, minds were slowly being changed. Massie, Amash, Rand, Lee, and others, they moved that needle in the House and Senate to a more libertarian direction, specifically in the GOP. And with the neocon defection from the GOP today, Even more bold moves are now possible. Some people see the traditional split in the Republican Party between nationalists and free market business interests, but many issues are blurring this, preconceived divide. Let's look at it from an objective standpoint. Both sides want less foreign military adventurism. Both sides want expanded economic opportunity. Both sides want immigration policy that puts American workers first. Both sides want law and order with a concentration on respecting civil liberties, embracing federalism, and of course, promoting decentralization. So by focusing and selling to these voters based on these specific issues, libertarians can bring different groups together underneath that GOP banner. With the neocons now going towards the exits, someone has to step up to keep the party together and fill that void. And libertarians can bridge this divide by showing alignment on the issues that the GOP voters actually care about. For example, show workers and business owners how easy immigration and bad trade pacts have suppressed wages. Teach them why we need to reel in government spending so inflation doesn't erode the dollar's purchasing power even more. Show them how important it is to keep government out of the economy so that entrepreneurs can do even better and, of course, inevitably create more jobs. If the GOP goes in the more libertarian direction, a more America first direction, like I'm suggesting here today, it's going to attract even more independents. And believe it or not, hear me out, even some Democrats. Lots of former Democrats already came over to the GOP after they were feeling abandoned by this new postmodern Marxist woke crowd that now takes up the Democratic Party. And these working class Americans, they don't want to be lectured by some blue-haired social justice warrior. They want someone, anyone, to actually address the issues that matter most to them. So by becoming a libertarian party, the GOP can actually broaden this coalition under one large, big tent. This includes fiscally conservative, yet socially liberal voters, which I know in the audience, Gary Johnson's out there smiling. Main Street small business owners that just want economic freedom and less red tape, they're going to hop on board. Non-interventionists who've had it with the endless wars where soldiers are going and dying for stupid, if not determined reasons, meaning that the anti-war right should sign up. And of course, privacy advocates and free speechers who are worried about the increasing government overreach, I think that they would appreciate our approach to civil liberties as well. But it has to be a substantive and principled approach for the GOP, not just slogans and sound bites. All the factions under the GOP umbrella need selling that libertarianism leads to better policy outcomes. And that is going to require an in-depth discussion and, frankly, a debate within the party. But the necessary first step is, get the neocon defectors out and finding their new partisan home that they are going to venture to. Because once they are mostly purged from the party apparatus, new leadership can now remake the GOP with a laser focus on liberty. Transform policy positions across all areas: economics, civil rights, regulations, immigration, trade, foreign policy. The list goes on. The party more aligned with the times and views of the average voter is the party that can achieve sustained electoral success. Lose some of these outdated elements, gain even more voters who want common sense solutions. Guys, the neocons will keep wasting millions of dollars on losers like Nikki Haley. Meanwhile, constitutional conservatives, American first patriots, and libertarians focused on those kitchen table issues, they're the ones who will win hearts and minds. This is the libertarian moment because the neocon grasp on the GOP is the weakest it has been in over 30 years. This presents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reshape the entire GOP while the establishment march themselves off to irrelevancy. There's always going to be two parties in flux vying for the affections of the voters. We know that. But today is the libertarian wing in the GOP's chance to mold the GOP moving forward and to firmly plant that flag for liberty, a banner that still highly resonates with the average American voter. We just need confident, consistent, principled leaders ready to sell and, of course, articulate these solutions. The neocons and big government establishment, they've had their run. And that run, it's over. The GOP will fundamentally change in the coming years. So constitutional conservatives and libertarians, we can guide that transition if we're willing to step up. Because either we seize this moment or we lose the party for another generation. Choice is ours. But given the fact that the stars right now are aligned, there is every reason to be optimistic that the GOP's next chapter is one of liberty. The infrastructure is there after Ron Paul's groundwork in 2008, and of course, the Tea Party's momentum through those early 2010 years. And yeah, Trump's populism blew open the doors, and now it's time for us to walk straight through those doors within the GOP and begin a new libertarian era. That's my thoughts for today. I genuinely think that we have a great chance right now to take over the GOP, and I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think I'm on the right path, or am I absolutely out to lunch, bat blank crazy? I want to hear. Go down below in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. And also, folks, please, if you got some value from today's episode, you are in fact on board with the idea that the GOP is at a perfect chance to be taken over by libertarians, constitutional conservatives, and yes, America First patriots. So please go ahead and give today's episode a share. When you do, please tag yours truly at @BNicholsLiberty. You can find me over on Facebook and on Twitter, x.com, formerly Twitter. Also, in terms of where you can find the podcast/video version of the show, well, it's wherever it is you can consume your favorite content. So from a video standpoint, your traditional YouTube's Rumble. We're also uploading our entire episodes to Twitter, x.com, as well as Ben Swan's Sovereign, which is spelled SOVREN. And by the way, if you're seeing today's episode over there, congratulations, you're seeing it before anybody else. That's your Sovereign exclusive. And wherever it is you catch the video platform, just hit that subscribe button, little notification bell, and hit that like button, because that actually helps us reach more people in the weird algos that are out there in the tech world. So that's number one. From the podcasting standpoint, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, wherever it is you listen to podcasts, just hit subscribe and, of course, download all unplayed episodes. But Brian, why? Because we have over 800 episodes here of The Brian Nichols Show, dating all the way back to 2018. You get to hear the transformation of the show, the way we've approached selling liberty here on the program, and also the way we approach getting our ideas from a policy position into action. Is it through the LP? Is it through the GOP? Or something else? You hear my thoughts for today. I hope that leads you to maybe seeing where we've evolved over the past few years. But if you want to hear the story and the journey for yourself, 800 plus episodes over in the archives. Head to briannicholsshow.com. All of them are available right there. And one final ask, guys. If you're getting some value from the Brian Nichols Show, please support the folks who support us. That means please support our sponsors. So Cardio Miracle, Ebles, CBD, Blood of Tyrants, Liquid Freedom Energy Tea, plus our amazing sponsors from BNC Technology Advisors, Proud Libertarian, and more. All of those sponsors can be found over at our sponsor page on the homepage of briannicholsshow.com. Please go ahead and give them some love. Use our discount code TBNS at all checkouts. And of course, make sure you tell them you heard them over here on the Brian Nichols Show. With that being said, Brian Nichols signing off. You're on the Brian Nichols Show, part of AMP America. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.